So I'm usually the one wearing the colorful socks, as is my norm, but I noticed you brought some pretty early festive socks.
Well, the next holiday that I will be celebrating at least is Valentine's Day.
Fair. Any story behind why these, or?
I'm not sure. These may or may not be the socks that Tyler gave me on our first Valentine's Day together. I have another pair of Valentine's Day socks, and it might have been that pair.
Okay.
And I might have just gotten these at Target. I can't remember which one's which.
Will he know?
Strong chance it's a no.
Okay. So we'll just say these are those socks.
Yes.
Okay.
I've done the minimalist challenge several times, and I've not gotten rid of either one because I'm not sure which one's which. Yes.
Good choice.
Would you like to share about your socks today?
Yeah. So these are from Father's Day a couple years ago, before we had our second son, Noah. So these are just Graham.
It's okay. You can say that Graham's your favorite.
No, this is chronologically. Noah didn't exist yet, but every year for Father's Day, my wife gets me a polo and socks that match each other, and the socks have Graham's and then now Graham's and Noah's faces on them. How did you first hear about CZ before you applied? I
was talking to my cousin who's also in the AEC industry about mechanical or MEP firms that he's worked with that he liked, and he highly recommended Cleary Zimmerman. And at the time, y'all were starting an office in Bryan College Station, so it kind of worked out perfectly. So.
And that Drew Dudley, your cousin.
Drew Dudley, my cousin, yes.
How has that been working with or alongside family or somebody you know closely?
It's really interesting, especially before I changed my name to my now last name, which is Goerig. But before, whenever it just said Madeline Dudley on all my Teams meetings, people would say like, so what do you recommend for like something structural engineering? Right. And I was like, I would love to answer that, but you really don't want me to because I don't know anything about structural engineering. So it's been good though. It's interesting to work in that role together when for so long we were just like antagonizing people because he's my older cousin, but it's been really nice. Is
it difficult not to bring that relationship into conversations or emails, or for him to just still be your cousin, not the structural engineer you're working alongside?
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes I maybe bring it into emails more than I should, or conversations, but for the most part, it's pretty professional.
And when you applied, I can't remember when we found this out, did you know who I was or that I had any affiliation with your senior design project? Or was that news upon hiring?
That was news upon hiring because I forget how it came up. I think like the College of Engineering had posted something about us working on our project. Right. And I was like, oh, this is fun. Scratch that. How it came up was you were stalking me on LinkedIn. And I had shared the article.
That's right, I found it.
That College of Engineering had posted it. And you were like, so Maddie, tell me more about this senior design project. Did you enjoy it?
That's right.
And I was like, no, it was a hot mess.
Yeah.
Hey, and it was fixing your senior design project.
I only helped design it. I didn't help build it, but I did text my friends who built it and let them know that somebody not that long after we finished had to go back and fix their construction. And they, to be quite honest with you, were not overly surprised by that. So
yeah, there was a lot of moving components. I think we needed more than just mechanical engineers on that project. Sure. I think that was really
they felt the same.
The largest issue.
They felt the same.
So, anywho, so how did your career at Cleary Zimmerman start off?
Yeah, the class, there's I think a 300 level class at A&M seminar where mechanical engineering graduates, I'm sure you took this one, come back and say, I'm a mechanical engineer and I do this, and I'm a mechanical engineer and I do that. And Wade Cleary came and did a presentation, kind of said all the right things for me to have my interest piqued. And after that, I went up to him and shook his hand. I don't remember if I gave him a resume or just got his business card and followed up with the resume, but we just had a brief conversation there. And that was probably midway through the semester. And I remember, I think it was either the day before or the day after Thanksgiving, I was driving to go play a round of golf with my wife and her family. And it was a 40-minute drive to the golf course, and I get a phone call, and it was Wade calling me in the car. And so I, put him on mute for a second and was like, I'm gonna take this call, everybody be quiet for a minute. And Wade and I just talked on the phone for probably 20 plus minutes of our drive. And the conversation kind of culminated in him offering me an internship in the San Antonio office. So that following summer, interned for CZ. And then before that internship was finished, they offered me a full-time job after I graduated that December, and then started working in the San Antonio office that following January.
So after your first interview with Wade, did you feel like super confident? Like, yeah, I did great?
I didn't really. I'd only had a few interviews prior to this one. A lot of my internships through school were more who I knew than what I knew, and going through a standard application process. So this was in that vein, but I still went to San Antonio for an interview. Rachel and I made a weekend out of it and stayed on the Riverwalk. But the interview was pretty short. I wore suit and tie and felt overdressed and showed up and talked to Wade for a few minutes, and he showed me around the office, and I kind of left just feeling, it didn't feel as much like an interview as it did just here's who we are, here's what we do, welcome aboard kind of conversation. So I felt okay, but I was certainly concerned that I didn't say enough about me or present my qualifications or anything, but I guess I said enough.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience.
Yeah, I was part of that one.
No, like even before that, because I had to go to San Antonio for my interview with Wade, and the night before I was on a girls' trip with my mom and my sister, and we were coming back from New York. And the airline company kept saying, hey, if you want to take the next flight, we'll give you X amount of dollars.
Sure.
And my mom and my sister were like, Maddie, it's up to you, because we know that you have an interview in San Antonio, because we were flying back to Houston, then going to College Station, and then I would have to go to San Antonio. And it kept getting delayed because they kept giving us more money. And I was like, anything for a couple $100s, So
sure.
Anyways, we drove to New Braunfels and got to New Braunfels at I want to say 2:30 in the morning. And then I woke up that morning, had an interview with Wade. It was 20 minutes long. My mom drove me, and I was like, Mom, you got to come back and pick me up. Because she was going to go, I don't know, shop for antiques or something like
Sure.
that. And I was like, that didn't go well.
Yeah. I was a little, now that you tell that story about how tired you were, I remember that for mine, I was very tired. Like I said, we made a weekend trip out of it on the Riverwalk. So Rachel and I were going out seeing the sights, and then the next morning it was a 8 a.m. or 8:30 interview, which I was in college, so that is the earliest I'd probably woken up in weeks or months. And I remember I definitely, while maintaining eye contact with Wade, stifled a yawn and kind of just, I'm sure, contorted my face horribly. And he had the grace to ignore it, and I just pretended it didn't happen. So I was a little nervous about that, but I guess it worked out. And I've since had the opposite experience at the career fair. There were some of those kids who were, I think, in the same boat. And I watched them stifle a yawn and just returned the goodwill and chose to ignore it. So
Passing it forward.
yeah, I'm doing what I can.
Gracious of you.
Yeah.
So in today's monthly meeting, for the staff meeting, they announced that you're moving into the role of principal. How do you feel about that transition?
It's very exciting. We've been talking about it behind the scenes, and I've been preparing to step into this role, and it's going to be a gradual process, but I've been very excited about it. Excited about the opportunities it opens up for me to grow in my responsibility, but to kind of allow me to open more doors for everybody here. I'm excited to grow the office and meet new people, and it's been really helpful that you and Alex and the team behind me have stepped up as much as y'all have, because while I've been working on getting ready to step forward, that means I'm leaving things that I was previously doing behind for others to do, and y'all have been stepping up to knock it out of the park. So I really appreciate that. So yeah, overall, I'm just really excited about it. And thank you for being the sleeper agent and getting the cake and decorations set up for when I arrived. That was a good surprise.
I was a little worried that the balloons would deflate, I'm not gonna lie to you, but they're holding out strong.
No, they look great.
Thanks.
That's really good.
Everyone helped put it up there because it was a little tall for me.
I was gonna ask. I didn't know if there was a ladder involved or not.
No, I stood up on the swivel chairs and...
Safe?
Yeah.
Safe?
For sure.
We won't tell OSHA.
Yeah. But Randy did say that if something happened to me, you were in charge of the paperwork for...
That's fair. There's...
another passing of the torch.
Yeah, that feels like there are lots of things that are just getting tossed my way. So it's, I mean, as with everything in my career has been kind of drinking from a fire hose. Let's just throw it all out there and see what sticks in a good way. It's good. That's, I guess, just what I'm used to. So
this easy way.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. One of my favorite things about my career at CZ has been anytime I've wanted more growth or responsibility or to take another step forward, there's been a very supportive team around me and ahead of me to help enable that. And this just feels like another step in that process. So yeah, I'm really excited. So hopefully everybody else is
yeah, we're for sure excited.
Or worried about it. So to pivot a little bit, I know you and I both grew up here in town in Bryan College Station. How has it been working and designing and being sort of a contributing member of society in the area that you grew up in?
I really enjoy it. I think growing up in Bryan College Station, you either love it and want to come back, or you're like, I got to get out of this small-ish town. I guess most people would call it a small town.
Yeah. When you're from here, the ish has to be added, but outside looking in, definitely a small town.
But I really enjoy it. I enjoy working with people that I mean, like I mentioned earlier, like I get to work with my cousin on a semi-regular basis, which is really cool, but also like people I've grown up with, getting to see them on jobs at like A&M or other places around town has been really cool. And then also the opportunities that we have to do community service or like philanthropic events around here, it feels a little bit more special knowing just that like this is the community that I've grown up with and been a part of since the beginning of my lifetime. So it's pretty special, pretty cool. And also I just think going to A&M and then getting to go back to campus and helping to like make it better, make it, advance to be this, new X, Y, and Z thing that it's trying to accomplish has been a really special like aspect of working here.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but for me, just it's a really cool, I guess there's some ego or pride involved, but it's just a really cool feeling to be walking through campus or driving through town and just say like, I worked on that building and I worked on that building and I helped out there and I know who did this one. And it's just cool having that tangible impact. Like you can look and see, I helped this building come from nothing. And that's just been really cool to watch. I mean, there are quite a few buildings just driving, if somebody's driving through town on the highway that you and I have both worked on, that you can see them from the highway. So everybody gets to see this. It's just really cool being able to have that impact.
I agree.
I think you're getting to that point, but maybe there's still hope if you wanted to be a roller coaster designer. Is that still on the back of your mind?
No.
For
one, I don't think I could live in a small town and design roller coasters. I think that would be a bit longer of a commute.
True.
So I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. Okay. Pretty content. Good news for you, because don't plan on going anywhere.
Yeah, you've picked up a lot of my slack, so I appreciate it.